Hey guys, welcome. I've had this question a lot of times from different people, and it was kind of like, what's been the biggest thing that's that has kind of made your breakthrough? What have you done? What have you learned to get that breakthrough success? And I feel like, I think about this a lot of times, and in order for me to really tell you this, I need to tell you kind of a little bit about my story and um, how I kind of started. I went through the same route as everybody else, or most people go through. You go to high school, you go to college, you get a job, and during my time in college, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I kind of had to pick. I call it a box, which is a degree. Like, what do you want to do? And I've always liked the challenge. I've always liked science, and I figured, well, I would like to go into some kind of medical field. I didn't really know what, so I went the pre-med route and took all my sciences. About my junior year, I figured, I was like, well, you know what? I need to decide what I want to do. So I started shadowing different doctors, a dentist, podiatrist, all kinds of different things to really like get me fired up. Get me what kind of speaks to me as far as what I need to do. And the one thing, in short, I would say would be medicine. I wanted, I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to go to medical school and be a doctor. I figured, you can help people. There's science involved, and it was challenging. So I think that's what kind of drove me towards it. Long story short, I finished college. I applied to medical school. I actually didn't get in my first time, like a lot of people. I ended up having to get a regular job working in the medical field, and during that time, I went back to school and I got a master's degree. It cost me this was about almost 30 grand as far as books and tuition and total expenses. It was like about 30 grand on top of undergrad. So I was already a little bit in the hole as far as loans and things like that, which whatever, you got to go towards, sometimes you got to sacrifice things, and I understood that. I finally, I finished my master's programs. I did very well. I ended up getting into a school. I'll show you actually the acceptance letter, or one of them right here. It was okay. Here's that one. It says, "Congratulations, Carlos. You decided to accept our offer." So, I ended up, going to visit the school to go through the whole, I guess, showing, and one of the things that was kind of my turning point, I believe, in my life, and as far as everything that I've been doing now, is I actually sat through the whole financial thing with the counselors, and they told me all the costs, and we sat down all the loans I needed to take out, and it happened that the last year they got rid of subsidized loans for grad programs. So I think what ended up being, I needed to borrow at least, it was about $250,000-$300,000 is what I needed, and not counting all the loans I already had on top of undergrad and my master's program. I sat around that table with a lot of the kids that were in there were younger than me. Just straight out they're like in their senior year of college, and I'm sitting here looking at this paper and at the amount of money that I need to borrow, and I told myself, okay, well, you need to think about some way to come up with some money. I had no money. I used to be a server back in college, and I had no money. So I figured, I was like, I need to come up with something that some kind of income. And my buddy Anthony is a big internet marketer, and he was just starting out at the time. And he told me about internet marketing. He was like, hey, I'm making a little money on the side. I think he was an accountant at the time. And he's like, he kind of got me into it. I started buying a couple programs, and anyways. And I kind of, so I started focusing on that. And I started focusing on, okay, well, I need to make at least $20,000 to have, and then have some kind of recurring thing that, while I'm in school, I'm getting some kind of money in. My stepdad's actually an accountant, and we sat down and did all the numbers, and that $300,000 was eventually over the whole span of school and everything that until I paid it off. It was about to be, I think the percentage was like 7.58%. It would turn into almost $800,000 in loans. That was one of the biggest things that bothered me. It was really scary. I don't come from a lot of money. My family's just an average, medium class family, and I figured, I was like, I'm not going to involve my parents. This is my decision. This is what I need to do. So I need to make some money. So I started really focusing on the internet marketing stuff. And long story short, I really got into it deep. And I started buying programs. I started having a little bit of success in it. But I was actually kind of struggling. And so it kind of goes back to that lesson. What was the thing that you really needed to do? Well, the thing that I really needed to do is kind of become clear on what I wanted. What did I really want? As far as, do you want to make $2,000 a month? Do you want to make $20,000 a month? And it was one of those things where you literally have to sit down. And you have to think about exactly what you want. That's when I actually sat down, and I actually learned this from my mentor, that you need to sit down and write down on paper exactly what you want. I know, a lot of people have heard this. I used to hear this a lot. I read that book, The Secret, and you hear it all the time. But most people actually don't do it. I didn't do it. I think I remember I wrote a little bit of something on a note card when I read that book, The Secret, and it was nothing really in detail. So when I actually sat down and thought about what I really wanted, I told myself that I wanted to make a certain amount of money, $15,000 a month, and really sat down and looked at it and wrote it in detail exactly how I was going to do it. Now, medical school is kind of conflicting with it, because it's like, okay, well, how are you going to make this amount of money when you're getting ready to go into medical school? So I actually sat back and said, well, I'm going to focus all my time and energy. I have 3 months to do this. And that's when I found, the Big Idea Mastermind program. I got into it deep, and I actually started making pretty good money doing it. And actually, so then the whole thought of going to medical school it just didn't make sense. As far as the loans that I needed to make and the amount of money that I had to pay, I liked what I was doing. It was interesting to me as far as everything that I was doing. So we kind of go back to, I'm kind of going on a tangent here about my story, but as far as it goes, so I dedicated all my time to internet marketing, and I decided, you know what, I need to become clear on exactly what I want. So I actually sat down and I wrote down exactly what date that I want, to be at a certain stage of life. And doing that is just kind of crazy. Like, writing it down, like writing it down and putting it on paper solidifies what you want. And you have to write these things in detail. You have to put these things on paper. I remember I wrote down that by March 31st, I wanted to make monthly $5,000, and it at the time, I think I was making like $800 a month off of internet marketing, which a lot of people would say that's a lot of money, and trust me, like, I was happy when I was making that, but those are just my expectations. So the one thing I do ask you, and I actually have, I mean, I read this every day. I actually have it on a note card, and I write down exactly what I want as far as, and this, it always changes. You know, when I reach this, it always changes. But the thing is, most people don't. You know, it's kind of like a lot of people feel like there's not enough. There's not enough out there. It's you know, there's everybody's worried that, oh, there's not enough money to go around. There's not enough things to go around. But think about, you know, think about all the animals and all the things that exist. You know, think this is kind of funny. Think about a squirrel, and a squirrel goes around, and it's net. A squirrel is not worried about whether it's going to find a nut or not. It finds this nut, and then it goes looking for another one. It just keeps looking. You never give up. So you have to kind of have, a goal. And this goes back to sports. I mean, it's like, you know, if you try to think the amount of examples that are out there, this goes back to sports. You know, when you shoot a basket, you have to look at the basket. You have to kind of aim where you're going to shoot. And when you shoot a soccer ball, you have to have your foot, you know, pointed at what you want. When you're surfing, when you're surfing, you have to look at where you want to go. If you look at you know, your feet or the bottom, or you know, you're gonna wipe, and it's you have to know where you're going. So when you kind of have, I mean, if you kind of look behind, there's, you know, I have my board over there. I have all my goals, my weekly goals, my daily goals that I need to do every single time, and it just guides you. You wake up, you see them, and you know exactly what you need to do. One of the things I've learned is that 1 hour of planning saves 3 hours of work. It really does, because I remember I used to see people. I know this guy. He literally worked 2 hours a day on his internet stuff, and most people sit and, you know, they try to work all day every single day on their stuff. But you know, and so I asked him. I was like, "What do you do?" And literally the day before, or he has a whole calendar planned out, but the little things he'll write down the day before exactly what he needs to do. So he says, you know, I wake up at 6, you know, read my motivational book, read a book, an audio for an hour, and at 7 o'clock I get on my computer from 7 to 7:30. I do, you know, I write my blogs from 7:30 to 8. You know, I do some marketing from 8, and he does this in a 2 hour span, and he completes all this. So by the time, you know, it's like 9 o'clock, he's done, and he can do whatever he wants. So I guess my biggest thing is really have clarity. You know, have clarity in your life as far as like what you want. And I know this can be tough. You know, it's most, you know, most people you ask, hey, you know, what's your goal? What's your dream? Like, what do you want to do? Most people, you know, it's very easy to say, oh, I want more money, or, you know, I want a bigger house, or I want a nicer car. But you really, I mean, that's not really what people want. I mean, I feel like money really allows you to, or achieving success, you know, which is tied with money, allows you to have money to help other people, and just kind of have more freedom to yourself, and have more mental freedom. Do what you want, create what you want. You know, you want to start your own company, you want to start whatever you want to do. It gives you that freedom. You can't do it by just working and doing what everybody else is doing, because you're very mentally, I guess I would say, suppressed. I mean, you're just doing what you're being told, and you have to have some kind of, you know, you have to have a bigger purpose in your life. You know, going to work and doing what you're being told is not your purpose in life. You have to figure out what you want, and wake up every day. There's so many times when I woke up in certain stages of my life where I really had no purpose, where you wake up and you literally lay in bed and you just don't even want to get up, because it's like, okay, I have nothing, you know, I have nothing really to do, nothing to look forward to. I feel like this is just my assumption. I'm sure I'll get a lot of crap from this. Is that, you know, a lot of people, and I feel like depression, I mean, some forms are tied to people not really having a sense of purpose, a sense of your goal, and a sense of what you want to do. Because if you don't have a purpose, you just kind of go through life just like, you know, you're just responding to whatever is hitting you, whatever stimulus is coming through. But when you actually have a purpose, you don't let these things kind of sidetrack you. You know what you want. You know, you guys see. I put this picture here for a reason. You know, you guys look at this dock, and if this dock wasn't here, this trail or whatever, you know, in the water wasn't here, it would take you so much longer to get to the end, to get to, you know, for example, if you want to get to the end of that dock at the spot, and you start in the water, you know, you could be going zigzagging back and forth, just letting the current take you from place to place, and not even really knowing what, you know, what your actual destination is, or even finding that place. But when you have a clear goal on what you want to do, then everything just becomes a lot easier. And building, I mean, and like building that dock and building your goal can be hard. And you know, it can be hard to sit down and really figure out what you want. It can be scary at times, you know, to just think about, you know, from going from a place, you know, from living in a crappy old place and being in this, like, in a rough state of your life. It's hard to sit down and write goals like, you know, I want to be my own boss. I want to just create income for myself. I want to have my own freedom. I want to help my parents out. I want to buy my parents a house, my brother a car. Whatever you need to do, setting these goals, it can be overwhelming. So, you know, but don't give up. Like I said, you know, focus on your goals and be clear about them, and everything else will kind of start falling into place. And look at your goals every single day, so you see your destination. And you know, a lot of people say this is stupid, this doesn't work. Trust me, I've seen it. All the guys that I look up to, who are my mentors, who are making money, who are successful, who started just like I know one of my mentors, Vic. He literally started from the bottom. I mean, his story is very powerful. And he talks about this story about a birthday, his birthday for his kid, where they literally had no money, and his one of his aunts came in and gave him $50, and he remembers looking at the $50 like, oh man, you know, I can use this for gas or something, because they literally didn't have any money. I mean, now he's one of the top earners on Empower Network, making a ton of money, and he did this exact same thing. You know, you have to mirror what other successful people are doing. And you see people like Tony Robbins, C. Harv Eker, they all say the same thing. And the crazy thing is, I mean, I was one of them. The crazy thing is that you hear these things, and it doesn't make sense to you. It seems too good to be true, but it really isn't. You have to write down exactly what you want, be clear about it, and everything else will fall into place. So, anyways, guys, just wanted to go over this. You know, shoot me any questions, and I'll answer them on the next one. Until then, just go grow yourself. I'll see you later.